I was asked to record your grades, but I didn't want to check unless I was sure that you already had completed, right? No, I haven't given you the new module information. I will do it today. Okay.
Okay,
And,
thank you.
let's see. Yes, thank you. So yes, let's continue with the first unit. And we started with the videos yesterday, correct? And today we're going to do some grammar. Are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being so understanding.
No,
I
no
have
problem.
to take
I
this
I
trouble.
was waiting and I don't know what to do. Still in the Zoom or
You know
left.
what? I'm starting to begin. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm starting to begin that since I use my work computer, I'm starting to begin that I'm having problems to run Zoom in it because I run WebEx, I run Skype, I run Teams, and I don't have any problems. It's only Zoom.
No, no problem. Don't worry.
And it's only Zoom for some reason. And I'm starting to begin that my computer doesn't like Zoom. So
It can be.
yes, but I got it running. And give me just a second. Okay, so let me show you my screen, okay?
Okay.
All right, so adjective clauses review and expansion. Now, this is going to be difficult, okay? It's not gonna be easy. So we need to pay close attention to the information. It's not impossible, it's just a little bit complex and confusing, but let's try doing it, okay? So adjective clauses, for example, this is a time when you can look back and feel good. You have a clause, and adjective because you're describing something. The grammar point that we're going to review today is ... That we're going to review today is your clause for adjectives. You're going to describe something. Remember, always adjective description. Do you recognize the adjective clauses that I used? Okay, so what is it that you have to use as a connector? You use WH words, you use that. That's how you know that you are using a clause. You're connecting another statement or question. But let's talk about these details, okay? This is just the introduction. So are you ready?
Yes.
Adjective clauses, also called relative clauses, often begin with a relative pronoun. The relative pronoun can be the subject or object of the adjective clause. Is Talia Santos the reporter who broke the story? In this example, the relative pronoun who is the subject of the adjective clause.
Yes, she's the one that I worked with.
In this example, the relative pronoun that is the object of the adjective clause.
Okay, so do you have any questions in regards to this info?
No.
Okay. Remember, often begin with a relative pronoun. What is your relative pronoun? It could be anything. It could be who, it could be that, it could be what, when.
Okay.
That is your connector, okay? Number 2.
We can use the relative pronouns who or that for a person.
Talia is the person who did the most to help me.
Or
Talia is the person that did the most to help me.
sometimes use whom for a person when the relative pronoun is the object of the clause. Whom is very formal.
This year, the Most Valuable Player Award goes to an athlete whom we all admire.
Okay, question. At some point, have you used whom in the past, or you were familiar with it?
Whom? Yes. Well,
Sometimes we use it when we start a letter or an email, right? For example, to whom it may concern. And it's very formal, like it says here in the instruction. When you don't know the person, you can use whom
whom?
in a formal way.
Okay.
Any questions about number 2?
No.
No? All right. 3.
We can use the relative pronouns that or which for a thing. I turned down the job offer that I got at Newsbeat. Or I turned down the job offer which I got at Newsbeat. That is more common than which in informal conversation.
Okay. And we have talked about these relative pronouns. We use that or which when we're talking about a thing. And it's more common to use that. In my case, I use that more often. I turned down the job offer that I got at Newsbeat. I turned down the job offer which I got at Newsbeat.
Okay.
It's up to you to use either one, as long as we are making reference to a thing, okay?
Okay.
4.
We use where in adjective clauses that describe a place.
Is there some place where we can go for a few minutes?
The adjective clause where we can go for a few minutes describes some place.
Okay. Is there some place where I can go for a few minutes? So where is an adjective clause that describes a place?
Okay.
We use when or that in adjective clauses that describe a time. It seems like it was just yesterday when you asked me to turn up the volume. Or it seems like it was just yesterday that you asked me to turn up the volume. The adjective clause when you asked me to turn up the volume or that you asked me to turn up the volume describes yesterday.
Okay. Any questions about this?
No.
And remember, when is very specific, but you can also use it to describe a time. That is very common, but if you want to get into specifics, I would recommend to use when. If you're talking about something in general, I would choose that. But again, the choice is yours. There's no wrong or right here.
Okay.
And 6.
In adjective clauses, we often leave out the object relative pronoun. We also leave out when or that in adjective clauses that describe a time. This is very common in informal conversation and writing. There's something I need to discuss with you.
It's hard to find a time we can talk.
we can't leave out where. That's the juice bar where Nick Crawford liked to go.
Okay, so whenever I always go over this instruction, there's always students telling me, but teacher, you're telling me how to use relative pronouns, how to connect clauses, and now you're telling me not to use them?
Mhm.
Well, the thing is, we can use this grammar the way we want, but in this case, Pearson is gonna give you specific details on how to answer things, and Pearson is interested that you understand the grammar structures according to instructions. Either you use relative pronouns or you don't use them, you leave them out. It's up to you when you're making your own writing. But when you are being tested, you need to be able to identify the differences.
Okay.
Okay, that's what it is.
Okay.
So yes, a lot of people tell me this.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's do some work. Okay. Okay. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so complete each dialogue, choose the correct answer.
Why didn't you want to have lunch in the cafeteria? I want to go to a place where we can talk in private.
Oops, oops, oops. Okay, so the correct answer is
Where?
number 2.
What from? Nothing from, but I need advice from someone who knows me really well. Who? That's
Okay.
me. No, we have been friends since the day which I started news.
Okay. 4.
Now I'm really curious. Is this about you and Nick? In a way, another news show has made me an offer that I can't refuse. But if you took the job, will you have to move? Yes, to Chicago, a place where I wouldn't be able to see Nick. But this is a time when I need to think about my career. Have you spoke to Tony? No, I am not looking forward to. Tony is the one who give me a break.
Who gave me? Okay, who?
Who? You deserve it after the great job. No relative pronoun.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see, right here. So that's me. I know we've been friends since the day. I believe we don't need a relative pronoun here.
Okay.
You can use which, but it's too redundant. So I guess we want to optimize the space here. So we can go for the no relative pronoun, okay?
Okay.
All right. Good job. Number 2. Now this is going to get interesting, okay? Okay. Complete each dialogue. Click change the phrase in parentheses into a relative clause and type it to the blank. If necessary, add a relative pronoun or when or where. And this is what you have.
Okay.
Okay, let's read and let's see if we can answer.
Hi, I'm Amy. You must be Josh. New home. Hi, I'm Cole. Nice to meet you. Are you the friend who might move to Chicago?
Okay.
Oh no, that's Talia. Why do you ask? The town where I grew up. When? I don't think Talia would like Chicago. Chicago is great. It has all the things that Los Angeles and New York have.
Except the crowds and the high places.
What is crowds?
Ah, crowd. Let's see. Let me show you. When you say crowd, it means many people. Or it could be multitude.
Okay.
When you say crowded, oops, crowded, it means that it's packed, full of people. We say that lleno. Okay.
Okay.
And what is crowds then? What is your understanding now of crowds? Multitudes, right? In plural.
Okay.
Okay. So it could be a noun and it could be a verb, right?
Okay.
All right. So let's go back to number 2. Are you sure we use when as a relative
Where?
pronoun? Sounds more feasible than when.
Yes.
4.
She doesn't know anyone there. So I could introduce her to some people. Most of the friends who I went to the school with.
Still live there.
They live there. Was there anything you didn't like about Chicago? Not much. Well, the one thing I really dislike about Chicago was the weather.
Okay. Well, yeah, when it's cold, it's cold.
Ah, yes.
You been in Chicago?
No, never.
I have. I used to work over there for a few months, and during the summer it gets cold. Not as cold as Canada, but it does. Maybe -20
Wow.
in the winter because Canada is like -40, 45. If you go north in the Yukon territories, now it's like -60, -70.
Wow, it's too cold.
Yes, people don't live there, but there's a lot of oil extraction, oil rigs. People work there, but they have to be very, very careful whenever they work outside. They need to use special suits because if not, they can perish, they can die.
They can die.
Yes, fast.
Yes.
At that temperature, fast.
Wow.
Yes, yes. You have to be very, very trained. You have to be an expert working in cold weather. Yes, I met a lot of people that do that.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
I
That's
can't
that's how it
imagine
is.
live there.
Yeah, no, it's too much. I'm a lizard. I like the hot and a little bit of cold.
Yeah. Not so much cold.
Exactly. All right, let's try number 6.
Yeah, really, I decided to live the year that it snowed in May.
That it snowed in May.
Well, I guess
That
that
you're talking about a month. So maybe a when would be
when. Well, I guess Talia is the one who should be taken to you about Chica.
okay.
Who should be
Who
told.
should be talking to you about Chicago?
Thanks. Can I have your phone number? Sure. Here's the number at the club where I work.
Okay. Okay.
When I
So you
work?
ready? Well, you're not talking about a
Yes.
specific time, okay? But you're
Well,
talking about a place, okay? You're talking about work, a place, okay? So are you ready?
yes.
Let's see. Hey. No problem, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Remember, this part is not difficult. It's just confusing. We just need to follow the rules, and that's pretty much it. We need to know when to use these words pretty much, and when you need them.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go over the second grammar section in just a second. Auxiliary verbs for emphasis. Auxiliary verbs for emphasis. I do think. And again, this is one of those situations where, okay, teacher, so all the time you told me that auxiliaries go in questions. Now you're telling me that I can just use them? Well, we use them for emphasis, but at the time we didn't talk about emphasis. So now we're talking about emphasis. Let's
Oh,
go over the detail, okay?
We often use auxiliary verbs for emphasis to give something special importance. Auxiliary verbs include the verbs do, be, and have, and modals like can, could, should, and will.
A lot of people didn't believe Nick, but he was telling the truth.
Okay. Any questions about this?
No.
All right, good.
If the sentence already has an auxiliary verb, we emphasize it by putting more stress on it when we speak. When we put stress on a word, we make it longer and stronger.
Hey, Nick, you should see this commercial.
I have seen it.
Did you know that Talia was offered a job in Chicago?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. So, any questions here?
No.
So in the end, we talk about auxiliary verbs. The most common ones that we have is do, does, and modals. But in the end, when we use have, it's also an auxiliary. We just need to stress it and it's there. I don't need to write something more to it. Okay. And here we do have the auxiliary because we're talking about a statement in the negative form.
Okay.
If the sentence does not have an auxiliary verb, we use the auxiliary do, does, or did for emphasis. Notice that the base form of the verb always follows do, does, or did.
Too bad you don't like soccer.
I do like soccer. It seems like just yesterday.
It does seem like yesterday. I guess things worked out for Jackie.
And for you too. You did score the winning goal.
Okay.
Okay.
So when people tell me, so how would these emphasis sound in Spanish? I do, too bad you don't like soccer. I do like soccer. So remember, I cannot translate, I can only interpret. I do like soccer. En serio que sí me gusta el soccer.
Okay.
Okay. Imagine something like that.
Okay.
You're adding emphasis.
Okay.
It seems like just yesterday. It does seem like yesterday. En serio que sí, pareciera que es ayer. En verdad que sí. So you can just play the words.
Okay.
Number 4.
If the main verb in a sentence is be, we can emphasize it in the same way.
Nick was innocent.
Okay. So yes, remember the verb be can also be used to emphasize, even if it's in the past.
Okay.
And when we pronounce, we add more emphasis to it. Nick was innocent, Lucy. So do you remember the Crawford story? Yes, Lucy, but Nick was innocent.
Okay.
Okay.
We emphasize things for many different reasons. One reason is to agree with something someone has said.
It seems like it was just yesterday when you asked me to turn up the volume.
Yeah, in a way, it does seem like just yesterday.
We also use emphasis when we disagree with something.
It's too bad that Talia is moving to Chicago.
She isn't moving to Chicago. She's staying at Newsline.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
No? All right. There's just only one way to make sure we understand this, and you know it. Okay, so auxiliary verbs for emphasis number 1. Complete the dialogue, drag and drop the answers into the correct blanks. You will not use all the choices, okay? So you will have something missing. Let's start this.
Remember the day Nick told you we saw Jackie Bishop on TV? I do remember it. I remember it well. It really seems like just yesterday.
Yesterday? Okay.
It does seem like yesterday. Have you heard that Jackie got a party in a toothpaste commercial? I did hear that. Or I have heard. She looks kind of silly in it. She does. Look silly.
Looks?
Look.
Okay.
You seem a little depressed, Dad. I am a little depressed. Why don't you call him? I will call him as soon as I have a chance.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Money. Okay. No problem, right?
Yes.
So let's see. Let's do another exercise. So auxiliary verbs for emphasis, complete each dialogue, type the correct form of be or an auxiliary verb for emphasis into the blank.
I thought you said that Amy called. She does call me, but she obviously didn't tell me everything.
Would that be in the present or something that already happened?
She did call me. Well, it seems like everything has worked out. It does seem that way. You know, we should celebrate tonight. I agree. We do celebrate. How about Valentino's? Perfect, but we... We do need. By the way, have you seen Jackie's commercial? I did seen it. You still seem very angry at her. I do angry at her.
I does,
That's
I do, or angry at her. She almost destroyed my career. You still seem very angry at her.
I does angry at her.
Well, does is in third person.
I do.
Angry at her? What about the verb be?
I was.
Type the correct form of be or an auxiliary verb.
I was.
Okay.
She did her. She.
Okay.
Will. Was.
She was right. The truth was win out.
Will we not?
Will, do, did. Which one do you think is better?
Did.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Okay, so these are the ones that we had some opportunity. So let's see. You know, we should celebrate tonight. I agree. You do not need do, does, or did when the sentence has an modal auxiliary verb such as should. So, any idea what to use?
We will
We should
celebrate.
celebrate. I'm sorry?
We will celebrate.
Let's see. When the sentence has a modal auxiliary such as should. Remember the rule? Were our options when we don't need do, does, or did, in the past?
No, I don't know.
Because in the end, you have a question mark. You're questioning this activity.
Will.
Okay. All right, let's go for number 5. Are you seeing Jackie's commercial? You do not need do, does, or did in the sentence. When the sentence has an auxiliary verb such as have. So what is it that we need to use? Very similar that 3. You still seem very angry at her. I was angry at her. She almost destroyed my career. So in this one, the main verb is in a form of be. So does it need to be in the past? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so yes, the correct one is just use should. You don't need to change it.
Okay.
For 5, by the way, have you seen Jackie's commercial? I have. And 6, you still seem very angry at her. I am angry at her. She almost struck her. So when we use was, I mean, Nick is not saying that he hasn't changed his mind. He is. Okay. And I'm pretty sure we discussed this in the rules, but there was just too many information to look at. But now that we have done this exercise, please take a picture and we can go back and review again these scenarios, okay? We did pretty good, but the ones that are a little bit more complex are the ones that we got incorrect.
Okay.
Okay, let's go now into another grammar section. I promise this one is going to be easier. Review of phrasal verbs. We know this. Do you remember what type of phrasal verbs we have? There's 2. Do you remember?
No.
We have separable and inseparable phrasal verbs. Okay.
Okay.
Do you remember when to use each?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Inseparable phrasal verbs are those that they need to be together. You cannot change them. And separable verbs are the ones that you can separate. You can have a pronoun in between. Okay.
Okay.
For example, workout, you don't separate it because it means to exercise. But
Okay.
there are other phrasal verbs that you can separate. Okay.
Okay.
For example, run over. I almost run her over. I can separate that one. Okay. Just a little review about phrasal verbs. Okay. But let's talk about them in a little bit more detail. You ready?
Yes.
Phrasal verbs are verbs that have 2 parts, a verb plus a particle. Turn out is a phrasal verb. Turn is the verb. Out is the particle. The particle looks just like a preposition, but it is actually one part of this 2-part verb. The particle often changes the meaning of the verb.
Let me know how things turn out.
In the example, turn out means have a particular result. As you can see, the verb turn plus the particle out has a completely different meaning from the verb turn by itself.
Okay. Now, do you think turnout is a separable or inseparable phrasal verb?
Inseparable.
Yes, you're right. Good. Number 2.
Some phrasal verbs are inseparable. This means that the 2 parts, verb and particle, always stay together. When an inseparable phrasal verb has an object, the object always comes after the 2 parts of the verb.
What do you think of the commercial?
What do I think of it? I think it's ridiculous. In conversation, the noun, the commercial, and the pronoun it are objects of the verb think of. Both noun and pronoun objects always come after an inseparable phrasal verb.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. 3.
Some phrasal verbs are used with certain prepositions when they have an object. We sometimes call these combinations three-part verbs. Three-part verbs are inseparable.
Things have worked out for you, Nick.
The phrasal verb work out means stop being a problem. We use it with the preposition for when there is an object. We don't use the preposition when there is no object.
Yes, they have worked out.
Okay. So yes, some phrasal verbs are used with certain prepositions when they have an object. We sometimes call these combinations three-part verbs. For example, worked out for you.
Okay.
And we have worked out for and then you. Okay, this is the inseparable, the second part, and third. Now with the preposition, with the pronoun, I'm sorry. For.
Many phrasal verbs are separable. This means that the noun object can come either after or between the two parts of the verb.
I turned down the job. I turned the job down.
That means the same, right?
Exactly, it is. The only thing is you can separate these ones. I rather like to use these when I separate them. Because, for example, if you are exposing something, it not only shows that you understand the information very well, but also that you can play with the words and show more emphasis. Okay?
Okay.
All right, 5.
When the object of a separable phrasal verb is a pronoun, a word like him, her, or it must go between the verb and the particle.
Why did you turn down the job?
I turned it down because I didn't want to move.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Six.
Remember, we use phrasal verbs a lot, especially in conversation. Phrasal verbs are often more common than their definitions. For example,
I ran into my cousin yesterday.
is more common than
I met my cousin by accident yesterday.
Yes, meet someone by accident. That's what ran into means. But right out the bat, can you tell me why a lot of people prefer to use phrasal verbs than the actual definition?
Because it's short.
Sure. Yes.
I ran into it. I met by accident.
Yes, run into is like toparse con alguien. And toparse is, yes, meet someone by accident.
Ah, okay.
Meet doesn't necessarily means to conocer a alguien. También significa juntarse con alguien o toparse con alguien. Okay,
Okay.
that's what it is. And let's do one last exercise. Give me just a second.
Yes.
So let's rearrange the words in each box to complete each sentence. Type them into the blank. Can you help me?
Has anyone seen Toby? I just ran into her in the hall. She was with Nick. Congratulations, that's great news about you, Anta. Thanks, things really work out for us. Hey, is that a new Jackie Bishop commercial? I can hear it. What she's saying? I will turn it up. I guess Jackie is in a lot of commercials now. Yes, she's doing great, even though she went along with the chain to frame Nick.
Scheme
Okay.
to frame Nick.
I heard that Dahlia said no to do that news with job. Yes, I'm really glad she turned down them. She turned down them. Is she going to celebrate? Well, I think Nick is taking out her for them.
Is taking out
Her.
her.
Yes.
Is there any other way we can work this out?
Is her taking out? Is taking her out.
Or what do you think?
Is her taking out?
Okay, is her taking out? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, no problem with the first one, the first section. Okay, you have a chance, take a picture.
Okay.
And the second one, yes, is taking her out, okay? So this one is separable.
Okay.
All right, Lucy. And I owe you the course ID so you can do more practice. And that's pretty much it for today.
Okay. Okay. Tomorrow, what time we?
Tomorrow
Yes.
it's not gonna be difficult for me, so it's up to you. You tell me what time is better for you.
It can be at 8 a.m. my time.
That would be 7 for me. Yes, I think it's better.
Okay.
At that time, everyone's asleep on Saturday morning, so.
Yes. Okay.
So 7 a.m. for me. Okay, no
Okay.
problem. And before we go, can you help me with the daily survey?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Have a great day and an
You
awesome
too.
weekend, okay? Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.